Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Warrant Officer Cherie Thiers. We welcome Wing Commander Retired Sharon Bowen, Air Force Association National Vice President and member of the Australian War Memorial Council. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is earth by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every sage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Please be seated if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Gilbert Firth Pate, who was killed during the Second World War. Gilbert Pate was born on the 25th of August 1916 in Caulfield, Victoria, the son of Sydney and Kathleen Pate. His father was a sales manager and he had 3 sisters, Peggy, Kitty and Joyce. Pate was educated at Kogarah Primary School and Kogarah High School. Fond of sport, he played football, cricket and tennis, and even considered becoming a jockey. After leaving school, he worked as a shipping clerk with the Commonwealth Wool and Produce Company in Ultimo, New South Wales. From January to March 1941, Pate served as a sapper with the Anti-Aircraft Searchlight Company. The following year, he married Edith Grace Cox, and on the 20th of June 1942, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force's Citizens Air Force. He began training as an air gunner. Pate embarked from Brisbane on the 20th of April 1943, arriving in the United Kingdom in early June. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he is one of almost 20,000 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who joined the Australian and British squadrons in Britain throughout the course of the war. Pate was promoted to Flight Sergeant in September. He joined No. 29 Squadron the following month. And in November, he made his first operational sortie when he filled in for an injured gunner on an air raid over Dusseldorf. On the last day of 1943, he was posted to the No. 467 Squadron, RAAF. As part of Bomber Command, the squadron flew the 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bombers. On the night of the 10th of May, 31 Lancaster bombers from the No. 463 and 467 Squadrons, RAAF, departed to Britain. The rest of the crew, he eventually made it back to Britain. The rest of the crew died in the crash. Flight Sergeant Pate was among those killed, along with Australians, Warrant Officer Royston Purcell and Flight Sergeant Alastair Johnson, and British Airmen, Flight Sergeant Jeremiah Parker and Sergeants Kenneth Tabor and Eric Hill. 12 Lancasters were lost on the raid. 50 airmen were recorded as casualties of the mission. After the war, the remains of the Commonwealth servicemen buried in Europe were examined and identified where possible. Pate's remains were identified, as were some of his personal effects, including a penknife engraved with the words, "Christ my guide." He was reinterred at Luzerne's Community Cemetery southeast of Lille. Under the inscription, "He fought and died a hero in the Battle of the Skies." He was 27 years old. Pate was dearly missed by his parents and sisters, who placed in memoriam notices in the newspaper for years after his death, each ending with the epitaph, "Per ardua ad astra," through adversity to the stars. Flight Sergeant Gilbert Pate's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Gilbert Firth Pate, who died for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope for a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.